love the aspect of 2040 is about the well-being of our planet and how we're connected to our planet and how that, you know, filtrates to all of us in our well-being, in our mind and our bodies.
Was it a natural progression from what you observed and learnt through your research and travels and discussions in that sugar film into the idea and concept of a film that kind of went into an environmental context?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely very strong parallels. I think that the learnings I took from sugar were, I guess, around how, like you said, how deeply broken the system is at a very fundamental level. The level of vested interest that pollutes the information environment that affects people. And I certainly saw really strong correlations with that, with what's happening with the planet. We have a system that isn't serving us. It's ultimately a very competitive and rivalrous system that actually pushes to the top of that system people and types of people that don't necessarily have all of our best interests at heart. They get rewarded for being very good at competition and rivalry. So I guess for me, it was seeing all the different effects that this system is currently having, whether it's on our own health, whether it's on the planet's health, whether it's on pollution, that really this 2040 is about us starting to think about what the new system might look like. And it's something that I think needs to be more symbiotic and interconnected. Otherwise, we're not going to get through that. And that's a big topic to start with. But I think what I found is that there are just so many people that are protecting their own interests, protecting, as we know, their financial interests, and that is having a deleterious effect on lots of different things. So I guess ultimately I saw how powerful film can be with that sugar film. We just had such a great response at a community level, in a political level, in terms of how it changed certain policy in some countries, and just, you know, the day-to-day people on the street that would stop me and say what impact it had. I just wanted to tell the next story and use all the learnings from that process to not only make a film, but sort of develop a bit of an outreach campaign off the back of the film where people could directly take action and get involved. So I thought that was the thing that was missing in this climate space, was that it's really hard to connect with it. Our scientists do a great job, but they don't talk in a language that engages the soul and the heart. They talk in, you know, anthropogenic and negative emissions and 2 degrees warming, and it's very hard for people to make sense of that. So I wanted to distill that information, but then also talk about this issue at a very deep heart human level, which I think has been missing, and then allow people to transmute all that anxiety or fear they have around the future and their children and whatnot, and actually give them tangible ways to get involved and take action. Yeah, well, I think a lot of parents will probably relate to this, that, you know, it's hard to get through to the end of some of this, the constant narrative that we're getting around the future, especially if you've got children that you know, I found myself just disengaging. It's like, what can I do with that? I hear that, you know, the methane's being emitted in the permafrost and it's increasing, accelerating the warming, or you hear how much ice is, and you hear another species has gone extinct. Because there's nothing tangible to do about that, it's an existential issue, so it's very easy to disengage. And in part of the research, I did speak to an environmental psychologist, which we're about to do an interview with on our channels as well. And she just talked to me about the psychology of that when we are, as humans, only hearing information that comes with fear and overwhelm, that it activates this part of our brain. And when that limbic system that gets activated is activated, it shuts down parts of our brain where we think creatively and we problem solve. So that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me. And then I found a quote by a writer, a novelist named Raymond Williams, and he said that to be truly radical is to make hope possible rather than despair convincing. And I just realized that that's all we've been doing. We've just been banging people over the head saying how bad it is, and that's really important. I don't want to shy away from that at all, because we are absolutely in a crisis. But as a way of motivating people and bringing them into engagement, we've got to talk solutions. We've got to inspire them by showing what people are doing, because otherwise I think we're going to see more of what's already happening is people retreat into fear. They'll vote for authoritarian leaders. They'll build up their own walls and protect themselves because they don't want refugees coming in that are affected in other countries. And that's a very dangerous place to get into. So I think we're at a very interesting fork in the road about how we go with this topic. And I feel very passionately about trying to bring people along by inspiring them as opposed to scaring the bejesus out of them. We forget that nature is extraordinary. And when we give it the opportunity, it will regenerate in such mind-blowing ways. And sometimes we just have to give it a little nudge, but sometimes we just have to get out of the way. We just have to, it's that great metaphor when you're paddling the canoe up the stream. Sometimes you just have to stop paddling and the canoe will turn itself around and actually go downstream again.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a great thing to take away. And also that I think that it's, as we've discussed, the most important way to deal with any anxiety is to actually move forward. Whatever it might be, give me a suite of things that I can actually get involved with, which will help me move forward with this problem. So if we think of that as the planet going to the doctor, that's kind of what's been going on with just getting the diagnosis. And at some point, all of us just disengage from that. So I'm convinced that this is the way forward, not to be Pollyanna about it or be utopian and say, hey, it's all going to be great. We've still got to sit with the reality of what's going on. And that's an important emotional element too. I think the more people can actually honor that part of them that goes, I am terrified, I'm a parent who's really scared, allow yourself to feel the depths of that. You'll then free up that space to actually create room for solutions and to move forward. So I think a lot of people are also paralyzed because they're not willing to accept the dire state of what we're actually in. So once you do that, then off you go and unleash and join all the other people that are moving forward. You know, people are spending so much of their energy and anger at our leaders and Scott Morrison and whatnot. And it's important. We need to speak truth to power, but we also need to understand that so much of that energy can be channeled into things like this. And we could just achieve so many wonderful things if we give people enough outlets for them to get involved and align their various passions. It might not be seaweed. It might be food. It might be energy. It might be farming, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If we just keep offering those ways up and just coax people to come on and start joining this sort of movement of positivity and moving forward, then, you know, what we can achieve is limitless.